What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, let the draft prospects begin. We're going to be talking about our first draft prospect, and it's a guy that has been talked about numerous times in the comment section of my videos, and his name is Cody Williams. He may be the very first person we talk about, but will he be the next Chicago Bulls player in this upcoming draft? We'll have to find out, but we're going to talk about the positives and the negatives to his game in this video. So before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and Cody Williams, and do you think this is a good match for the Bulls? Do you think that he's the right type of player to bring into this team that can help make an impact right away? So, born in Arizona but went to the University of Colorado, ladies and gentlemen. He's a forward, he has a 7'2" wingspan, and he is 6'8". That is quite interesting. So, look, I don't necessarily think we need to necessarily draft for a specific need here, but the question is always going to be asked for every draft prospect: does he fit a potential need for the Bulls? And I guess the quick answer to that one is yes. We don't have many forwards on this team. The forwards that we have are either very, very short, or don't necessarily have good wingspan, or they're undersized, essentially, in the sense that, you know, they're basically a guard playing in the forward position. So we don't have that many elite forwards in our team. Maybe Cody Williams can fill in a need there. But there's a lot more strengths to his game. But before we get into that, I want to take a look at some stats, ladies and gentlemen. So this season for Colorado, he played 24 games. He averaged 11.9 points, 3 rebounds, and 1.6 assists, shooting 55.2% from the field and 41.5% from the three-point line. He shot 70% from the free throw line, ladies and gentlemen. So altogether, that seems to be quite a number of positives right there. A guy that could get into double digits in scoring, 41% from the three-point line. That's rather nice, shooting over 50% from the field in general. He's not necessarily a guy that I look at as someone that could take over a game, or someone that could just really grab the game by the neck and make the biggest of differences in the world, but he can be a good contributor to any team that he goes into. So, what do I like about Cody Williams? Well, I really like his build. His build, in my opinion, is the biggest drawing point because he's 6'8", again, 7.2 wingspan. The biggest thing that I take away from that, and something that you can see in his highlights all day long, is that he can block shots with that wingspan, and the fact that he is as tall as he is and he can move the way that he does really does help. He averages around 0.7 blocks per game in terms of the college level, which isn't a dramatic, I guess, number of blocks, but it could lead to something in the NBA. Once he gets his body right, he can bring more muscle into it. He can become a little bit more stronger. I can see him becoming a good defensive and two-way player in the NBA in the future. Again, with every single draft prospect, you have to consider the amount of time it's going to take for them to flesh into their body, if you know what I mean, for them to build their body to the best it can be. It's not going to be a quick fix. It's not going to be a one season and that's it. It's going to take time. And that is something that could be on his side with how he's able to play defense. He's a willing passer. He averages 1.6 assists, which is not necessarily too bad for a forward who doesn't necessarily have ball handling responsibilities. So the fact that he can pass out in transition, that should fit right into this team as well. And the most important thing here is his two-way capabilities, as I mentioned. He can crack into double digits, it seems like, and I assume that can translate over into the NBA level. And again, he's willing and able to play good defense on the other end. I could see him being a really good role player in the NBA. Now, keep in mind, this draft is considered a rather weaker draft, so you're looking at players thinking you're going to get the next superstar. And as much as I'd like the Bulls to really pick the next superstar in this draft, considering how so many people believe this is one of the weakest drafts we've had in a long time, it's going to be very difficult to select a superstar. So it's about trying to find someone that can maybe build into that. But even if you can't find someone to build into that, you need to find someone that can make an impact straight away in this Bulls team. Maybe Cody Williams can do that. taking a look at some weaknesses. Now, keep in mind, I don't watch every single college game. I've done my research on him. I've read what other people have had to say about him. I saw some highlights, but I am no means someone that can just flat out say this player is not good enough, or flat out say all these weaknesses are going to be what keeps him from really succeeding in the NBA. This is basically just what I've seen and what people have written about him. So apparently, he doesn't necessarily take over any games. So when you're thinking of a lottery type player, especially for the Bulls, we're kind of late lottery, but usually when you think of lottery type of players, you're thinking of guys that can maybe take over on the scoring end, maybe can take over on the defensive end, can bring something unique and special that can really help elevate a team. Apparently, Cody Williams is not someone that can necessarily do that. He's kind of a jack of all trades type of player, but when you become good at everything, you might not be elite. You might be elite at nothing. That's the type of player I look at when I see Cody Williams, in the sense that he's a willing passer, he can shoot the three, he can score, he can defend, he can pass, but you're doing all these things at a good level, you might not be able to excel your game to the next level, to the elite level. That was a weakness that was mentioned about him. And the one thing that I saw just by stats alone is that he has a low attempt rate from the three-point line. I think it was about 1.6 attempts from the three-point line. Correct me if I'm wrong. And he's shooting 41% from the three. So the way that I see it, look, the percentage looks nice, but it's on low percentages. Or on low attempts, my apologies. So the real question here is, can he actually be a consistent and reliable shooter from the three-point line? I look at 41%, and look, that's the 40% is the magic number. Everybody wants someone that can shoot 40% from the three-point line. Absolutely everybody. But with such low attempts, will that translate over to the NBA? The NBA three-point line seems a little bit deeper, and the pressure will be higher on him as well to make them. So can that be a reliable way we can move into, I guess, the future with Cody Williams? That's a genuine question that I have to ask. So yeah, those are the big weaknesses that I have with him, essentially. He's never really taken over a game, and, you know, you could be good at everything, but when it comes to being elite, you could be elite at nothing. That's the big weaknesses I have just from watching what he does, and from the stats side of things, the three-point attempts are very, very low, so can that translate over to the NBA level? Now, like I said, those weaknesses seem pretty big, but you have to keep in mind, this is a young player. There's always going to be a weakness in a young player. I guess the big question here is the risk willing? Are you willing to take that risk for a player knowing those weaknesses could still be present? Maybe by the time he gets to the NBA, his weaknesses won't even be there. You just don't know. You know, it's really. I'll give you an example. Patrick Williams was a guy that everybody thought he could not score at the NBA level. He was just a defender. He comes in his first season, knocks down the three-point shot at 40%. Yes, he didn't necessarily take over games, but no one thought he could shoot the three-point shot that well with his, I guess, release. It turns out he's one of our most consistent shooters for the Bulls. That could happen with a guy like Cody Williams as well. So just as much as I'm mentioning weaknesses, I also want you guys to realize that that doesn't necessarily mean anything if he works on those weaknesses. And if he works on things that I don't see, and maybe those things that I see are not going to be problems at the NBA level. So keep those things in mind. But the question is, would I take him with the 11th pick of the NBA draft? Well, there's actually big talking points here that he could go ahead of the 11th pick. The draft report I was reading saying he could potentially go within the top 5. And there are others saying he could potentially go as low as out of the lottery. So I don't know. I think he could potentially be available, but this is a guy you're going to have to look at knowing that there's potential he could go higher. He can go within the top 5, he could go within the top 10, and we might miss out. But with that being said, I do like this player. Again, it's his height and his frame, his body frame, in my opinion, is the most appealing thing because you could see the future of what that could look like for the Bulls. And that is something I would definitely like to have on this team. So with the 11th pick of the NBA draft, if Cody Williams is available and the Bulls selected him, I would be rather happy with this pick. But keep in mind, he's not going to be the finished article. He's not going to be the perfect draft prospect you can see. And there will be weaknesses to his game that might either show or not be shown at the NBA level. And that's what you have to deal with when you deal with young players coming into the league. So we'll have to wait and see. But I do like the look of Cody Williams. From a small percentage of what I've seen, I would be happy to have him on the Chicago Bulls. Who should I talk about next? Thank you so much for watching. Drop a like and a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.